I built this thing, which became like a methodology, which was kind of across marketing, sales, customer success, and product.
Phenomenal, just in terms of the depth of his knowledge, and I really appreciate how he's bringing a lot of his frameworks and, let's say, critical thinking about the buyer's journey into all the ads we're creating and targeting. And it's been really helpful for us just to start getting a view in terms of which accounts are interacting with our ads and which messages are they responding to. I've been listening to the sales calls that our BDR does, and it feels a bit aggressive. Like we're just trying to sell them. And I know that, less than 5% of buyers are in market, are really busy. They don't want to be pitched to. Even if they have some pain, they probably don't believe you because there's 10 other companies who do what we do and have promised them the same things. They probably were sold on those promises in the past and they weren't kept. So with that, I really want to encourage the team and the BDR especially as we're standing up this account-based motion to not just pitch and try to get the meeting, but to find a way to build a relationship.
I was always forced to teach certain sales methodologies, knowing that that wasn't necessarily what got the result. And in most cases, it caused us to mostly only speak to 3% of the market and burn everybody else. Not to mention, it would also hang marketing out to dry, and it would also cause friction at customer success. So I started going rogue with ways where we could speak to 23% more of the market better, nurture those people, get buying signals, work out what's it going to take, build front-end rapport, relationships, all of these things, and then use that information to build out the marketing piece, and then use that to go back with the right timing, and then use that to go into customer success with a customer success plan, and everybody's happy. You have your key stakeholders, key end users, key account management team, all of these things, and you'd run through what that might look like, Rob, to work with you. This is what that's going to look like. And you'd work through a plan, like how often would you like to see us? Would you like pink donuts on Tuesdays? Do you need all of these things part of the contract before you push to finance, before you got credit approval, before you went through your pro forma of your legal, to make sure that you weren't upside down on the contract. That no longer exists anywhere because the AE is not tasked to do that, because each of those other methodologies since 2014 don't include that as part of their sales cycle. That sits nowhere. So if anyone that has gone through that process and been leadership, now if they're not older than me, they don't remember what it was like before because that doesn't sit anywhere. So the AE needs to get the signatures and push to the customer success management team, and they say, here you go. Or that's a message in Slack, hey Rob, good luck. But what you now see is around the 6-week mark, most of those accounts will churn. But what I learned through all of those methodologies was, one, I was just forcing my teams to get meetings that didn't matter. And two, it means that we were burning everyone else that did matter, that would be the right fit accounts over the long period of time. But to do that, it meant that my mates in marketing had to keep giving us MQLs with contact data that didn't necessarily mean anything. So I was just like, hang on, there's something wrong here. So I need people like, hey Rob, so the first thing you'd want to be able to do is speak to a wider portion of the market and define whether your category is relevant, just to make sure that nothing has changed. So then you've defined the category, you've built front-end rapport, you've got information about their contract. Most of the times if you can get to probably the third question, they may even tell you who they're with. And then you'll know buying rate, size of contract, things like that. And then you'll know what you need for marketing to be able to build out through that catalog process with timing to go back. So Rob, based on what you've told me, would it be okay if I came back within that buying window and show you what we've got, just so you can see what else is out there? Would it be crazy if I send you my details now, just in case you need me before I come back to you?
Right.
You've said, you guys aren't big enough to play in our space. I really like the growth that you've shown, but you need to be here, here, and here to play with us. Do you think you could get there within 12 or 24 months? That's what that might say, right? That gives you product road mapping. So these need to be evergreen processes as part of your BDR cycle. That needs to be basically market development, not business development, right? As soon as you make that switch, you're able to speak to more of the market without the pressure of putting meetings on calendar. But it also comes back to how they're measured. But that measurement also pushes your marketing to only build MQLs that are going to go nowhere for those people to have people to call. That's just come across my desk. It looks absolutely hot. Do you have time for us to go through that live? Would you like to see what we've got again? Cool. And then the big thing that what is not taught now is you go through that live. So you don't just send it and push it back to the other person. It needs to be a two-way conversation. Because otherwise you're just sending proposals with hope and you're not actually getting the buy-in that you originally had from the permission that you worked well to establish. Is in like unity across marketing, product, customer success, but it'll also give you forecast accuracy. And as well in like a formal process for like government or a formal RFP process, you'll then know if you're in front of that process and you know that that's coming up like 8 months from now and you're already in front of the queue, you're pretty well placed to be in front of the top 5 because you're already in front of their front of mind. You might blow it out of the water with the first touch of that queue. But if you hadn't done that call at the start, you'd still be fighting after the top 5 as everybody else. So yeah, I just made that as like a standardized entry point. Like this, George and I are teaching first principles of business. Those that recognize that's what's happening will see the light and go, that makes complete sense. We need to do that because it's foundational. The other people that will push back are generally pushing those other individual methods, so they can't actually say that it's correct and that's foundational to business.
Wow.
So people saying that that's going to take 3 years, if you ask the right questions up front and build that rapport, not trying to sell them, you're going to get further into their decision-making process because you've built that rapport. Because like, think of it like this, if none of this was true, market research companies like Winter and Gartner wouldn't exist.
Correct.
So would you be externalizing that to them, or would you rather have that from the horse's mouth through yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is super helpful.